I can't. We just went off into the 29-second countdown. That's hilarious.
Absolutely.
How are you, everybody? Welcome
Hello,
to.
folks. Oh, your camera's moved. What's going on there? I've gone all. There, that's better.
You all right?
I'm good. Let's get started now, shall we? Can we go back and do this 29-second countdown? Oh no, let's not bother.
Welcome,
Folks. How are we doing?
welcome, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to do the intro, Graham. I'm
Yeah,
going to
please
do
do.
the
Go for
intro.
it. Oh, shut the
So
heck
we're
up.
live. We are live here at Men's Radio Station and Women's Radio Station. You can like and subscribe and take part in the many radio shows and the podcasts that we feature into after. All courtesy of Men's Radio Station. Find us on Facebook, on YouTube, and today's show is our host, the legendary, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend. That is Graham Nichols. How are you, Graham? Is Graham frozen?
I was joking. You thought I was frozen. I was joking. Yeah, thank you very much, Cuddy. I am very, very well. And ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, he's nicked my man, myth, legend starting off again. That's why he does the intro these days, folks, so he can steal that and make me not able to use it. So to that side, yeah, I got it right. To that side, I would like to introduce you to the one, the only, the UK's leading mind management coach, and I have to say, my business partner and my very, very good friend, the one and only Mr. Cuddy, the Cudworth.
That is, how weird is that, business partner? Can you believe it, Graham?
I know. What were you thinking?
This time last year, when we probably were introduced, did you think me and him would be in a business partnership creating a phenomenal business that helps not only businesses, but also helps employees to maximize their earning potential over 7 times over the national wage? 7 times over the national wage, Graham. How phenomenal is that going to be?
It's just awesome. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. And to answer your question, I always saw something in you, but I have to admit, I did think, man, he swears a lot.
I do.
Folks, he tones it down so well for this radio show. It's unbelievable. The control this man has of his mind and mind management when it comes to his language is second to none. I promise you that. Anyway, Cuddy, my friend, how are you?
Absolutely fantastic. And welcome to today's show, which is mental health in the workplace. Are we better going for prevention or cure?
It's a great question and a great subject as well, because it's just so needed, and so many more businesses are recognizing these days that they need to help their employees out. And I really believe that can be a shifting point for mental health in the world, across the world. I really do. When every single employer finally gets on board, and I truly believe they will, every single business will eventually figure out that, okay, we give people pensions as a perk, and we give them this as a perk, and everybody's going to realize that the ultimate perk, if you like, or the ultimate thing you can give your employees is support for their mental and emotional health. And it is starting to move across the globe. And I really believe it's just going to accelerate. And it's a great subject to talk about. I read an article, and I'm fascinated by this subject. I mean, it's why you and I are in business, to be fair, Cuddy. I am fascinated by this subject. I was reading last week that in the UK alone, last year, 347,000 more people took some sort of mental health support from their employer than they did the year before.
Yeah.
Over 1/3 more people took some sort of mental health support from their employer than the year before. And that trend seems to be continuing this year. This year, it might just hit 500,000 more than last year. It might.
Absolutely.
Which is just incredible. But it's fantastic as well, because having so many people don't know where to get this level of support.
Yeah.
And they don't want to reach out to the charities or the counselors or the therapists or something like that they don't know. Whereas if their employer says, we've taken on this business and we trust them, we're paying them to help you, then they know that they are getting into bed, if you like, excuse the metaphor, but they are going to work with somebody who's absolutely trusted by their business.
Yeah.
And that's why this is so important. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, it's a massive thing, and I'll be very honest with you. For anyone that is listening, and by the way, for anyone that is listening, ask some questions, join in the conversation. If you have a comment or an opinion about whether we should be looking for prevention or cure, I think we have to be very honest when we say that mental health has become a prime focus, and it should. It has been. You know, you speak to a lot of older generation, the more experienced generation, and they're starting to talk about it now and say, "Oh, I could have done with that at my work when I was going through all my stuff." Because everybody goes through stuff, and I'll be honest, and this is something that you can say, "Oh, I disagree with that," if you want, Graham, or anything like that. But I know there is a lot of mental health first aiders on the job that are there to look for mental health signs that people need assistance. However, what that creates is a judgment system at work where people are like, "Well, I'm looking for signs. I'm looking for signs," and I often know that a lot of the people who have been working with, I've been working with the mental health first aiders. They were like, "Oh, I'm the mental health first aider. I should have known this myself," and I'm like, "Absolutely not a problem at all," because anxiety and stress and depression in the workplace is at an all-time high. And I learned a word this week, Graham.
Did you?
I learned a word and I had to pronounce it at the event I was at, and I was like, I'm gonna have to Google what does that mean, because this is the importance what's the word? Pre-absenteeism. Pre-absenteeism, which is not being focused at work due to mental health. Lack of understanding. I think lack of understanding is the perfect part, and we're gonna hit you off straight away with an understanding of, look, anxiety is fear. We've talked about it before in the shows. We've talked about it before in the radio shows. That's why we love this platform at Men's Radio Station, to be able to talk about these things, to get it out to the masses, and it's a phenomenal way to do that. But can I share a story? In fact,
you can. Before you do, I just want to say hi, good afternoon to Andy Raven, who's just put a comment up. He's listening in from Morocco. Andy, thank you very much for joining us from Morocco. That's wow, that's a long way away, my friend. Thank you very much. It's great to have you here, Andy. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to comment on your thoughts on what we're saying. Yeah. Sorry for cutting you off there, Cuddy. Over to you. No. Share us a story.
Perfect. So, I'm not going to mention any names, but one of my wife's friends has just sent him a message saying, unfortunately, I didn't get the job because my anxiety stopped me getting the job. And it's a job that this person had wanted for, I know that triggers me every time as well, Graham. It's a trigger. Yep. I saw the body language change. And that person maybe wasn't aware of what I would have done or could have done with them and things like that. However, this person has wanted this job, kind of like a bit of a childhood dream to do this job. Yes. And I just read the message and I'm like, do you know what? If that person would have just spoken to you, I'd have whipped him in 2 sessions, he would have got that job, which that job would have paid him over 50 grand a year.
Yeah. So that's your fee covered by a long, long way.
Oh, trust me, my fee's not that in any way whatsoever. And for anyone that's listening thinking, no, not in any way whatsoever. As yourself, Graham, we are extremely affordable mind management coaches. And I can, for anybody, if you're listening thinking, oh, well, I don't know if I can afford Cuddy or Graham, trust me, you can. All right. But that to me was heartbreaking. It was a heartbreaking story that I had to read through a messenger. And I'm just like, there's just still a lack of awareness and understanding what anxiety is. It's just, we hear it, we repeat it, and it becomes part of our beliefs and our ideas and our idealistics. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. You were saying about the kind of the older generation, and I wish I had that when I was I was younger. And that, funnily enough, I was talking to a business owner the other day, and I was asking him how long he'd been in business, and he said he would literally come out of university and started his own business. And I was like, wow, not too many people come out of uni and do that. He said, my dad was in business for himself for virtually his entire life. So I grew up in that kind of area and that kind of thing, seeing him in business. He said, but he suffered massively with his mental health, with stress and all of that sort of stuff, because he was running his own business. He said, and I was talking to him about what you do, because I've had quite a few conversations with him. He said, I was talking, and he turned around to me and said, I wish there'd been somebody doing that when I was running my business. He said, and he's been retired 20 years.
Yeah.
He said, so it was needed 20 years ago. It's definitely needed today. And the workplace, we spend so much time at work that it's the ideal place to get that kind of level of support. It really is. But you're right in the fact of the mental health first aiders, while they do an important job, are kind of pigeonholing people because of you're on the lookout for it. What we do is we offer a private and confidential service where people get in touch with us without having to go through their business. So people don't need to know that they're getting in touch with us. The business still pays for it, and we help them in that respect. So it's completely private and confidential. And that is the way mental health needs to work in businesses. It truly is. If you have to go to your HR manager, your HR director, your business owner or something like that and say, I need mental health support, how many people are actually going to do that? A low percentage. And that's the important part of mental health in the workplace. Unfortunately, mental health is still very stigmatized. We both hate that, Cuddy. We both really detest the fact that it's stigmatized. It's no different to having a physical health ailment and say, I need to go to the doctors because my knee hurts. There's no difference, but it is stigmatized. So being able to offer your employees the option of a completely private and confidential service is absolutely where businesses are going, because they realize that to employ somebody like us might cost them an awful lot of money, but to actually employ a mind management coach would cost them quite a lot of money. However, to employ a business that has a selection of mind management coaches that can help your staff, that is not the expense of just employing one person into your business, and that is a fantastic opportunity. Hi, Carrie. Carrie's in. Hi, Carrie, all the way from Canada. I'm grateful for the benefits I had 15 years ago when I needed to see a counsellor. I would not have been able to afford it otherwise. Absolutely. And to be fair, if you were working with a company 15 years ago that was offering that sort of service, you were in a business that was leading the pack, because not many businesses were doing it 15 years ago. So that's fantastic, Carrie. And that's what we need people to be doing today. So tell me, Cuddy, prevention or cure?
Prevention. And I've been talking to businesses now as well, and I'm this is how confident I am about priority mind management, about the skills that we use, the techniques that we use. I believe they should come and see us before they go to the doctors. Get your staff to us before they go to the doctors, and let's see if we can work out with the magic and the wizardry of priority mind management. And I can tell you now, the success rate I've had with my clients recently, and one of the businesses that I'm working with, a phenomenal business, really said, you know what, I'm going to put you on retainer and I'm going to see if any of my team want it. And the team came in, and it was a very slow start until one person came in, and that one person went back to work and went, book in with Cuddy. The best thing I've ever done. I don't have anything that I thought I had. I don't actually have anxiety. I've just got a fear of not being good enough, and I can work on that. It's not a problem. And then I did some more sessions with him, and he's like, oh, no, I've got this coming up. And, how do I manage this? Perfect, not a problem. And that's been the power of what's been going. And he's no longer going to the doctors for the things. He's actually become a better father to his daughter because he'd gone through a broken relationship and stuff like that. And we found out why he was having all these things, because it comes from a past trauma, a past belief that keeps popping up now. And when you've got that support, not just a place to be heard and listened to, but when you're given solutions, we are 100% solution-based. It's not about keeping where you are. It's about getting you moving forward with an entirely new identity of who you can be. And that's a powerful thing. And once you identify that who you are in this emotional state of anxiety or depression is not who you are in real life, and you start becoming this person, the identity of actually who you are, it's a powerful, powerful change in mindset, mind management, and your mental health. And it's not as serious as when you've got those repeating patterns of negative thinking. Actually, it's not as hard as you think it is to start creating it once you've been given that place to get what you think is the problem off your chest, and then you realize that's not the problem. And I did a extremely powerful session with someone yesterday, Graham, and within one session, he was like, I never looked at it like that. And then all his past failures that he thought were failures, not one of them was a failure. And he was like, so it's not actually nope. And he was like, I've never looked at it like that. And I saw the visceral shift. You remember the visceral shift you did with me about 8 on the thingy thing? And I was like, that, I saw it. I saw the blood leave his, and I'm like, how does that feel? It was like, it's visceral, unbelievable. Yeah. And we can talk about all the clients that we work with and all those kind of things, and the fabulous companies that's working with priority mind management already. But I would like to use an example of our local bus service, cancelling buses all over the place because their staff are phoning up on the sick. And they can't manage the bus service in my local area, and I'm not going to say the local area, but they can't manage. So they don't have enough people at their place of work, and they don't have enough people to do the jobs, and they can't keep them at work. So where's the cost for the businesses? The businesses have to now start realizing, actually, we need people at work. We can't provide the level of service, the superior focus within our teams to be able to be promoted in this place of work. And the two of the companies that I'm working for, they've seen their productivity go through the roof. And the people that I'm working with are going back to work and saying, thank you so much to the leader of the company. Thank you so much. How are you going to want to perform if your employer's done that for you, Graham?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to make you stay in your job. And that's a really important part. That the benefits of a business owner or a managing director, whatever you want to call them, the benefits are numerous, are just incredible for supplying your staff with some sort of mental health support. The benefits include staff retention, which is massive, because employing a new member of staff costs thousands these days. The whole job advert, the interview process, if you're using a recruitment agent, then the training afterwards, and then the whole process costs thousands. If you can keep people in their jobs, then you don't have to worry about staff retention. You don't have to worry about the turnover. To add on to that, absenteeism. You've already mentioned absenteeism. If you can get absenteeism to drop, you are saving money because you're not having to get people in to replace that person or stop that particular job role for a day. Productivity and efficiency goes through the roof. When people are happy, they work better. Simple as that. When people are happy, they work better. No, without doubt about it. But there's some of the things that people don't realize is that people make better decisions when they're in the correct mental and emotional state. When we're in a stressed state or a depressed state or an anxious state, as human beings, we make awful decisions. But when we're in a more balanced state, we make better decisions. Well, that's another benefit to your business. Imagine somebody making a poor decision in a stressed or frustrated state that costs your business thousands, that if they were in a balanced emotional state, they wouldn't have made that decision. They'd have made the right decision and saved your business thousands. It is off the scale, the return you get and the benefits you get from it. And the benefits you get as an employer are, again, it's just off the chart. Not only do you get all those sort of things that I've just mentioned, you also get a stronger team bond. You get your team working together. It's just, and the whole morale of the place just goes through the roof. Now, I sent you a report last week or the week before, Cuddy,
Yeah.
and this truly blew me away when I first read this. So this was a study done by, I think it was done by Mind, the mental health charity. In 2019, they did a study about employers who provide some sort of mental health for their staff, some sort of mental health support. And they found that for every pound spent on that process, the company got back £7.27. £7.27 for a £1 investment. But the best bit about it is they did the same study last year in 2021, and that had gone up to £8. So for every pound spent, a medium-sized company, got £8 back. Well, imagine investing £1,000 in your business and getting £8,000 back. Imagine investing £10,000 in your employees and getting £80,000 on your bottom line of your business. 80 grand, bottom line. Do I need to say any more, folks? But it gets better. If you're a large company, so that figure, if you have 500 or more employees, that figure goes up to £10 for every pound you spend. If you've got 1,000 or more employees, that goes up to nearly £13 per pound spent. Imagine spending 10 grand on your employees' mental health and getting £130,000 back on your bottom line. Do I need to carry on? Should I stop? Should I stop ranting just for a moment?
No, it's a fair rant, isn't it? Because we know that it's when service starts. Use the bus service as a prime example. I would say that the bus service is a hit and miss anyway these days, isn't it? Let's be honest, for people wanting to drive or maybe going on the train instead. You know, the quickest way is always in the car sometimes. But, you know, a lot of people don't have that driving. So a lot of people rely on the bus service. However, if you're having to cancel services because you don't have the teams in place, because if you have a system in place that you're losing, there's a cost loss to those kind of things. And that's the power of having prevention in more than cure. And a lot of places do have HR, but HR is a different faction because they just follow the rules and the guidelines that we have to go through to make sure that the teams are heard and given the appropriate guidance. That's what HR does to make sure everyone in. However, and I'm certainly not saying in any way, if you have the priority mind management in, you have a more powerful system in place that would prevent most of the HR stress-related issues that people have. Because the communication is going to be there so that when somebody comes to the coach, the priority mind management coach, well, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened, and this is a problem. Perfect, not a problem. Why is that a problem? We go into the systems and the techniques that we have, and within a 45-minute speech, they're like, oh, well, that's not the problem. No, because we understand that people are projecting their emotions onto the bosses, the supervisors, the managers. Then you look at the other side of it with the supervisors and the supervisors and the managers are like, my staff are not listening to me. Well, there's a reason they're not listening to you. If you don't have the skills to be able to communicate or get those things in, and that's how the priority mind management helps. Is it works? Because I'll be honest with you, I've been working more with the senior managers, Graham. Yeah. Most of my clients are the senior managers at the senior level. It's well, my staff's not listening to me. I'm like, have you ever listened to your staff? What? Have you ever listened to your staff? Well, how do I listen to the staff? Right, let me give you this technique. Repeat back, do the parrot, and it's like, oh, they'll come back the week after. Oh my God, my team's listening to me. Not only are they listening to me, we're all listening together. We're all going. And that's then creates a community and a mindset towards getting the business moving forward. It's a phenomenal thing. And not everybody is trained in that area. And I've seen HR people, and I've worked with some phenomenal HR peoples that have that high emotional intelligence. Then I have seen others with no emotional intelligence, and they take everything personal. And if you've got staff who are taking it personal, that comes from their belief system. And if you are not trained to be able to change that belief system or help them see a different side to that belief system, you're going to get stuck in a vicious cycle. And that's how priority mind management starts becoming part of the prevention which is so much better than the cure. And I will give a shout out to a lot of my clients recently. Most of my clients have been coming to me as the cure. They've been coming after the outburst, a lot of my clients have re-signed up for, I want this in my life so that I don't go back there. So I want this to be part of my prevention. And that's been a very powerful thing, because people see the power of it, of being coached to see perspective, understand their emotional states, to understand that their beliefs are causing it, and how we can change these things. And what's happened in the past doesn't have to bother us moving forward. It's a powerful, powerful thing, Graham, which has been very well received at this moment in time as well,
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is having some sort of mental and emotional health support system for your staff. It's kind of a triple win for your business, isn't it? Because you get the first win is you've got staff that are happier, more engaged, and more efficient. So that's win number one. You get a boss, a business owner, a HR manager, or whatever you want to call them, that gets something out of supporting their staff in some way. Because if you support your staff, you feel better about yourself for supporting your staff. You just do. And the third win is there's a financial win to it as well, which I explained a few minutes ago. It really is a triple win for any sort of business. And I just think if you there's a system. I don't even know if it's still running. When I was employed many years ago, there used to be a system called Investors in People or something along those lines. I have no idea if it's still around. It used to be an Investors in People award, and you have to do all sorts of paperwork and admin, but they used to come in and inspect a business. And I really think if there is still an award like that around, one of the criteria should be, do you support your staff's mental and emotional health? It just should be something we do. There is actually, and if you're a business owner listening, pay attention. If you employ more than 5 staff, did you know that legally in the UK, about the rest of the world, but legally in the UK, you should be doing a regular stress level test on your business? You have to do that as a legal requirement in the UK if you have 5 or more staff. Some sort of stress assessment on your staff. So if you're not doing that, get on and do it. And then when you realise that the staff are far too stressed, then you know where to come and talk. No, that way, you know who to come and talk to. But stress is just such a massive issue in workplaces. Do you see what I did there? Did you like the little segue into stress? I want to talk about stress. I segued it there perfectly, I thought. Stress is such a massive issue in the workplace. Again, I'm all about my stats when it comes to this sort of stuff, because the stats just don't lie. Last year, 40% of people who switched jobs did so because of work stress in the place they were working before they switched jobs. 40% of people. That is ridiculous. Just imagine how much you could cut your staff turnover if you help them to reduce stress. And part of what we do is stress management, right? We teach people how to deal with stress, don't we?
Absolutely. And it's funny because you mentioned we teach people how to cope with stress, because a lot of people don't realize there is a positive intention for anxiety and stress. There's Absolutely. A positive intention. You need anxiety to a certain level, and you need stress to a certain level. The problem is our thoughts and our monkey mind. Well, I'll talk about monkey mind again. We keep rattling around those conversations, which are seen as thoughts and conversations, and they rattle off the same effects. Even though you might be sleeping, if you've got a stressed mind, if those conversations keep going round and round and round, it keeps us frozen. And that's where the fear is heightened, and that's why we're constantly creating cortisol, which is, to a certain level, a perfect chemical for reaction, fight, or flight. However, we are now into a situation where we just keep producing it, and it's just overloading our bodies. So that's why we're into these broken down systems with our bodies. It's holding on to fat because we're in a stress mode. We just keep absolutely like these things. And that can be easily changed. So don't forget, you do need a certain amount of stress, and you do need a certain amount of anxiety. If not, you wouldn't move. You would be sat still and not move. When the prey come along, the dinosaur comes along, you wouldn't move and you'd be dead. However, We don't have dinosaurs anymore, unless you count Loch Ness, which has just been spotted. But they found out it was a llama in the water, to be honest with you. It was a llama getting out of the water, but from the picture of the angle, which is funny, which is very funny. And that's how you have to be able to manage that. Right, so let's use managing stress as a powerful thing. And I'll use dipping in cold water as the perfect analogy for how to manage stress. I do dipping in the winter so I can manage my level of stress, because you are putting yourself into one of the highest critical, stressful situations you can do, getting in cold water. However, I manage that stress by going in, by focusing on my breath, relaxing the vagus nerve, and setting my entire body into a relaxed state as I get into freezing water. And I manage that by managing and controlling the conversations, the breathing, and that allows my body to say, all right, it's okay, I'm in a stressful situation, but I'm fine. I'm okay. Because I'm being told I'm okay. So I can do this, I can get out. That's how you manage stress. By creating that stress, analyzing it, becoming calm, and that's the comfort zone. The whole premise of leaving your comfort zone, getting into your growth zone, creating a new comfort zone, and then keep growing. We're not on about taking away stress from the business. We're on about managing the stress, and that's a powerful thing. Learning how to manage the stress purely by breath is a phenomenal thing.
Absolutely. Stress management is so key in a business. This, as you said, we can't take away stress. That it would just our entire system would virtually collapse, because we need a certain level of, even to the point when we get hungry, that's actually starving hungry to the point we need something to eat. That's a level of stress that and our body is therefore driven to therefore go and find food. So we need a level of stress, but we need to know, and businesses and employees need to know how to manage those stress levels, because you're absolutely right. The cortisol, the hormone that stress produces, when experienced over a long period of time, does massive damage to our bodies. It's been linked to heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, liver disease, kidney disease, diabetes, even, and I was reading this again the other day. I'm an avid reader of this sort of stuff. Testosterone.
Yes.
Did you know that the testosterone scale, literally, as cortisone goes up, testosterone goes down?
Yes.
And fellas out there, we all know what that means.
Oh, Graham!
Literally, as cortisol goes up, testosterone goes down. So if you are in a long period of stress, and it's repeated time and time again, that cortisol is going on, but then you're going to your doctors because you're tired, you're worn out, you keep falling asleep, and you can't,
Shocker.
There's a reason why.
Graham.
Because what your doctor will do is do a full range of blood tests on you, and it'll come back that you've got low testosterone. The reason you've got low testosterone is because you have been stressed for far too long and your cortisol levels are far too high. And on top of that, people, he was really stressed and he's had a heart attack, cortisol. Oh, he was really stressed and, he's got diabetes, cortisol. Do I need to keep going on about cortisol, Cuddy? What do you think? Am I getting the point across that you need to be able to manage your stress, because it will stop you from being ill all the time? Oh, and cortisol also affects your immune system. So if you think we were talking about absenteeism recently, a little while ago, a few moments ago, you want to improve your absenteeism in your business, get some stress management in your business, because it will help people's immune system, and therefore they won't be ill as often, and therefore won't be off sick as often. Have I covered it, Cuddy? Tell me, have I covered it?
And I've got a live lecture coming up very, very shortly.
You're just going to steal all my stuff, aren't you?
And I'm going to really, really mention that with them and stuff like that. And stress rises when we try to control the things we can't control. And I'll repeat that again. We are very much getting stuck in a world of trying to try and control things we cannot control. And that then creates more stress. Now, a lot of people are going, well, what the hell are you on about? So we're just creating our own stress. Yes, you are creating your own stress. That's maybe one of those little light bulb moments that a lot of people are going to go, Cuddy, what an arsehole statement to say. No, We are creating our own stress by how we react to certain things because of the beliefs that we have. All right, which is absolutely imperative to change those beliefs. So I often do this a lot of the time with my clients and things like that. So, well, I'm trying to, this and this is this. I'm like, well, you're trying to control everything, but you've got no control over these things. I said, right, okay, if it's stressing you out right now, write down a list. The things you can control and you can make actionable changes on, and write down all the things you've got no control over whatsoever. And I says, all that side down there that you've got no control over, don't deal with it. Deal with this. You're now creating a system within yourself where you can control the things you can control, and you're forgetting about the things that you can't control. The reason you're getting overwhelmed is you're seeing the whole picture and thinking, well, I've got to do everything. No, you do not have to deal with every thought that comes into your mind. You do not have to you do not have to deal with everything that pings off. People don't understand the power of thought. I get that. I didn't know that's what was creating my demise many years ago. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping people, as we all are, because we've gone through those things. But that's how you start manage. And most people are not trained in that. I worked for a phenomenal company, Royal Caribbean, and they do lots and lots and lots of stuff to help their employees. They really do. But we weren't really trained in anything. We did like see something, say something, but that creates a sense of, well, I'm looking at everybody else. But most people are like, well, I've got to hide my stuff anyway. Everyone's looking at me. So we're creating a sense of, well, I'm going to have to hide everything because everyone's looking for it. See something, say something.
It's a bit like dob your neighbour in, isn't it?
It is kind of dob your neighbour in. So you've got this, and trust me, on ships, you don't want, though I know what it's like on ships because I worked on them for 13 years. You're like sardines into so all those emotions are like sardines crammed into a tin. And then you've got some people who are looking to see the signs, and you've got the other people saying, well, I don't want to show the signs. And it's just horrible. So I'm not 100% sure on how much, the mental health training for managers sometimes really doesn't create the best environment for work, having one person who's involved with the company as well, because then there's always a bias for the company over the employee. Does that make sense?
It does absolutely make sense.
And once there is a lack of, so one of the phenomenal companies I'm working with is an internet company who does amazing websites, Inspire Digital. Check them out in Perth, phenomenal company. And they've realized now that what was happening and why we've been such a positive thing is some people are just checking in for a chat. Actually, this bothered me this week. Why was that? Well, have you thought about this? Have you thought, all right, so it wasn't my boss, or it wasn't the executive, or it wasn't these things. It was something completely different. And that's what's creating the stress. The level of importance that we create within ourselves is what actually creates the stress sometimes.
Yeah,
really is. And look at the world right now in the UK with raising energy prices. Stress is going to be absolutely everywhere, Graham. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that when I'm working in a kind of a stress management phase with somebody, I'm listening out for what I call the he, she, they, it, that. I'll say that again. The he, she, they, it, that. He makes me stress. She makes me stress. They make me stress. It makes me stress, or that makes me stress. Those are the 5 things that people will come and say to me, something along those lines. He makes me stress every day, him being the boss or the bloke who works next door. She makes me, or something along that. It makes me stress. Well, what's it? Come on, define it. And no, it doesn't. You make yourself stressed about it. But, I'm not quite that blunt. Well, I am sometimes. But you're writing that down, aren't you?
I am. I'm going to use that, the accountability. Yeah, I'll be messaging me. Tell me that again.
The he, she, they, it.
No, tell me again later, not now. I get it.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant that. So that's what I'm always listening out for when I'm working with somebody around the stress management area, because I guarantee that when people believe they're stressed, they believe they're stressed about something on the outside most of the time. Not all the time. I will say not all the time, but most of the time. And the reason they get stressed about it is because there's a fear of losing something around that. There's a fear of losing their job. There's a fear of losing face. There's a fear of losing respect from their boss or their colleagues or something. There's a fear of, losing salary, losing wage. There's a fear of losing their house, or, not being able to put food on the table for the kids, or losing their marriage, or whatever it may be. There's a fear around that somewhere in there. But that is being, you used the word earlier, projected. That is being projected onto he, she, they, it, that.
Yes.
Something along that is being projected onto that. When we bring it back in, when we start to get people to realize that it's them creating it with their thoughts, then we can actually get to the hub of it and actually deal with what the problem is. Because that's what we want to do all the time. We want to find what the root of the problem is and then deal with that, because that solves everything else. Most people look at the problem. So they may look at, if to use root as the metaphor, they might look at a tree that's dying and look at, is it the trunk, is it the leaves, is it the branches, and all that sort of stuff. They're looking at the problem. When they look at the solution, which is at the root, that's when you find the real issue and deal with it. You can't treat the problem, you treat the solution.
Yeah.
Because all the time you're looking at the problem, all you're seeing is the problem. All the time you're looking at the solution, that's what you see. Funnily enough, I was listening to a podcast this morning, and the person speaking said something virtually that. If you spend your life looking at problems, all you will do is see problems. If you spend your life looking at solutions, what you'll always see is a solution to everything.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me this morning. It's the same in any situation, and it's absolutely the same with mental health. Whether it be stress or anxiety or depression or anger or frustration or overwhelm or whatever you want to lump into that area, if you're looking at the problem, i.e. the stress, the depression, the anxiety, whatever, you're always going to see that problem. If you start looking for the solutions to that problem, where the root is and how to solve that, that is how it gets solved. And that is what we do. That's what the power of working with a coach, because we are always looking for that solution. We're looking to help you find that solution and then work with that solution to move you forwards. Imagine if you're a business owner having a resource that your employees can go to with their problems, that somebody's going to try and help them find the solution to. What a powerful, powerful resource. And it's not somebody you're going to have to employ into your business at 40, 50, 60 grand a year. It's not somebody you're going to have to, a one person, and then try and get them to deal with everybody. You're going to go to a company that doesn't cost that has a selection of coaches all trained along the same lines, all assessed along the same lines, that know a process of what they're doing so they can help your employees. So if you want to, we're talking about prevention or cure for mental health. It's about prevention. As Cuddy said 100 times, it's about prevention. If that option is there for people to go and talk to people, they will do it to prevent it getting worse, rather than wait until it gets worse and then going off sick, leaving the business, making poor decisions, upsetting the team, upsetting morale, whatever it may be. Because if you have a tight-knit team, let's say you've got a team of 10 people all working in a sales office, just as an example, and you've got a tight-knit team and everybody gets on and you go out and do some socializing, all that sort of stuff. But one person is struggling in that team, because the other 9 people care about each other and they're a tight-knit team, they will start to struggle as well, because they will want to find a solution for that person. They will want to help that person in some way. And as they see that person struggle more and more, their minds will be distracted towards that person more and more. So it's not just that one person that loses productivity, it's the whole team starts to lose productivity. Now, the answer isn't to go in and fire that person, because you will destroy the team morale. The answer is to get that person the mental and emotional help and support that they need. And that's where we come in. Would that be fair?
Absolutely. 100%. Carrie makes a really good point, actually. Carrie says, even if you see signs in someone else because this is referencing the see something, say something. Even if you see signs in someone else, if they don't want to get help, it won't make a difference.
Yeah. The top reasons for them not wanting to get help are things around they don't want other people to know.
Yeah.
They don't want other people to know they're getting help. So if you've got a support system there that is completely private and confidential, so nobody else will know about it, then you've got the ideal solution there for those people who don't want to get help because they're too afraid of what their colleagues or their boss or the company might say. But their colleagues, their boss, the company will never know. They're just paying for that solution.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we even take away the main reason that people don't get help, because they don't want to talk about it because of what other people might think of them.
Yeah. And let's talk feedback, and I'll talk about feedback that we've had from a couple of companies that I'm working with, because a lot of people in the business world, they like KPIs. They like to be able to track, and they like to be able to say, well, look, this was the results. Sometimes results are not always trackable when it comes to people's happiness or the fact that they get the support and stuff like that. And true satisfaction can sometimes still go down even though they're getting the support, because it's been proven recently that more money is not actually the solution to people's happiness.
Yeah,
but getting
neither,
that
support, neither, by the way, is remote working. People thought the remote working was going to be the be all and end all of the next generation of working, but more people are becoming stressed, anxious, and depressed because they are working on their own as a remote worker rather than in a team. So remote working isn't the answer either. Sorry to cut you off there, but
no, it's fine. Point. Yeah. I have no idea what I was saying, I'll be honest with you. So more
money isn't the important thing.
Money's not always that important. And there's, but in the present state that it is with the energy crisis and things like helpful. That, I'm sure money is going to be very helpful for people at this moment in time. And that should be a focus and stuff like that. But if they're performing higher, there's more money to be made and there's more money to be given back. And performance comes from, if it's in the mind, it can be managed. And I want to reference that statement for the next 5 minutes, because have you ever heard the term, oh, it's only in your mind? Well, yeah, it might only be in your mind, but it can be managed. And your stress, your thoughts comes from your beliefs, your identity and capabilities in certain situations. And not many people are trained in those kind of areas to be able to manage that. And I worked at Royal Caribbean for 13 years and I never got any of that training. We were trained how to be leaders. We were trained how to be managers. We were trained how to, recognize things, but nothing to the level of what we do, in all fairness, Graham. It's been phenomenal to see how knowing what we do as a business and as a company with the values and the ideas that we have is how much that's going to be a massive benefit to the major companies that we're going to be working with and that are working with at this moment in time. And it's going to be absolutely phenomenal to be able to see those massive changes in mindset for people. I mean, even mindset, because we're talking mind management, we're talking mindset, and we're talking mental and emotional health. Mindset. How big a part does it play in people's life? Simply nothing else but mindset, Graham.
I think it plays 100%. I think a long time ago when we first started these radio shows, we talked about mindset and we talked about the difference between a positive attitude, a stroke positive thinking, and a positive mindset. There's a complete different thing. And that is so important. And I'll repeat, I think I said this back then, I'll repeat what I said back then, was positive attitude and positive thinking is something along the lines of, there are no weeds in my garden, there are no weeds in my garden, there are no weeds in my garden. I guarantee you there's weeds in your garden. That's positive thinking, positive attitude stuff. Positive mindset is, well, I know there are weeds in my garden, what can I do about it? And there's the difference.
Oh, if I had a microphone, I'd drop that right now.
There we go.
Boom!
So mindset is so important. And again, coaching employees, even if they don't want the mental and emotional health support straight away, they may think they need it, but some people don't want to. But just helping them with their mindset and making a mindset shift of, again, it's that whole thing. Don't focus on the problem, focus on the solution. Mm-hmm. Yes, okay, there's a problem, What is the solution to it? How do we move forwards? How do we find a solution? How do we make this better in some way, shape, or form so you can live a little bit better life every single day? That's a positive mindset. That's where mindset should go. I regularly get clients come to me and complain about whatever it may be, the he, she, they, it, that type thing again. And while they're complaining, I'm listening for their mindset. And their mindset is all focused on what the problem is. And to use an old saying, where focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
That's Think and Grow Rich. If you haven't read the book, you need to read it. That's where that comes from. Where focus goes, energy flows. Mindset is about making sure your mind is settled in the right area, in the right focus. That's what mindset is about. What's your thoughts on mindset? How would you define the right mindset, Cuddy?
I've always liked Carol S. Dwecker's reference to mindset, which was a phenomenal book. I actually read the book and listened to the audio book. And it was about having either a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And you can recognize the differences between mindsets in people. Now, I know we've also talked about the different states of consciousness, of like the victim conscious, the blamer, the one that's not in control, and then the one who is taking control, the one who makes life happen for you, through you, all those kind of things. We've talked about that. Mindset. Once you can identify where you are on the mindset scale, you will start to see, oh, it is me. It is me. And then we take away from the he, she, it's what you're going to have to write those down because I'm using that in the next lecture. We move away from that. So Carol S. Dwecker devised, and it's a powerful book on mindset, growth mindset, and fixed mindset. If you are of a fixed mindset, you will not take feedback well. You will look for problems instead of solutions. You will think that talent is something that is you're born with, you don't have to work on. So if you're not born with it, you won't have it. You will create a barrier to be able to improve because of your beliefs and your identity and maybe the areas that you're from. And she proved, it's a phenomenal story because she proved that a teacher went in there to one of the schools and was given the classes, and she saw the random IQ for the class and was, my God, that's highest numbers she's ever seen. So she went in there with these numbers, knowing full well, oh my God, these are highly intelligent people. I'm going to have to really step up my game, and I'm going to have to really just batter on about Shakespeare and everything. And the whole team, the class graduated at the end of the year. And the whole, like, America went wild. Well, how did these people from such lower economic areas thrive and survive and survive? I think it was the Criminal Minds or the Dangerous Minds with Michelle Pfeiffer. It was
Dangerous Minds, that's right.
It was. And the teacher just went and said, well, I saw that their high IQ was so high, so I had to treat them like high IQ individuals. And then the headmaster came, the head teacher came back and said, that's their locker numbers.
Yeah.
But she'd seen it as, oh, that's their IQ, right? They've got the big numbers. I've got to go and treat them like that. And that's mindset. She had a belief that they were intelligent. She treated them like intelligent people and got them all further through. Mindset created a sense of well-being within them. So growth mindset, for anyone, if you're not aware of, for anyone listening, growth mindset is a simple look. You will take feedback so you can progress. You will not get defensive when you hear feedback because you know it comes from a place of, let's get me moving forward. You will see problems as challenges and solutions to look for. And you will create a sense of well-being of, the more I can fail, the more I can learn. Whereas a fixed mindset is, I failed, so I'm a failure. So I'm not going to try again. And that's mindset that anybody, and I mean anybody, can genuinely work on by looking at books and doing things online. And I would definitely say that I used to be fixed mindset, Graham. And I was in a place of fixed mindset. Yeah, I was in a place of fixed mindset when I was on my downward spiral of anxiety, stress, and depression, the nervous breakdown. And it wasn't until I learned about growth mindset, I was like, well, if I start doing that, all these things open up, and it opens up a whole new world and vision for you.
Yeah, absolutely. While you were talking there, I'm thinking how Similar, it sounds, to Albert Ellis, the guy who created REBT, and which went on to be kind of one of the fathers of CBT. He talks about beliefs in the terms of rigid and flexible.
Yeah.
And that's very much the same. If you have rigid beliefs that you're not going to change, you're just going to stay where you are, that everything is this way, where no matter what evidence to the contrary it is this way, you are rigid, then you are literally putting a set of blinkers on you and you are walking forward and can't see the rest of the world. If you have flexible beliefs that you can take in different perspectives from everybody, from everywhere, you're willing to look and learn from everywhere, then you take those blinkers off, you open it up, and you can see the whole world. And that is very similar to what you were saying about the rigid versus growth mindset. It's a very similar process to what you were talking about there. So listen, we've got 4.5 minutes left. I know we've talked in bits and pieces about priority mind management, but I think people should know who we are and what we do. So I'm going to throw it over to you. Tell us about priority mind management, and then I will fill in anything else that I think is pertinent. Go for it. Tell people about priority mind management.
So Priority Mind Management is a fabulous business that is completely there to provide health and well-being support for staff members, managers, and directors of companies. And we support your teams in creating that emotional well-being of understanding and self-awareness. I think self-awareness is a phenomenal thing. And once we pull away those layers of the onions of what people think is causing the problems and it's not, then you have a system in place where people are given the tools to be able to strive, thrive, and really perform and feel supported in that area. And that's what priority mind management is. It's making the minds of your staff a massive priority. And as a business that's going to make that effort into their teams will rise to the challenge and the occasion every time. And that will only ever benefit companies for their performances, for their services. And that's what priority mind management is all about, Graham.
Yeah, absolutely. We offer a range of solutions that start with an online self-help program for your business that can be completely branded to your business. It can be viewed from anywhere in the world with an internet connection. It can be turned into an app as well, so your employees can use it at any point. You know, if they wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning feeling any particular way, they can open the app up, they can click onto it, and they can use any of the tools and techniques that are within that self-help program. Additionally to that, and the important part about the self-help program is around 70 to 75% of people don't actually want to seek help. They want to help themselves. And I was one of those. I wanted to help myself. So the self-help program is perfect for those people. For that extra 25 to 30% of people who need that extra bit of help, that's when the coaching comes in and we start to work with your employees to really help them out. And that combination of the self-help and the coaching really has such a major impact in businesses. We've both seen it. We're both working with businesses who are seeing those benefits and having those impacts with their employees, and they're just thriving from it. Absolutely. You mentioned Inspire earlier, who I know just are absolutely loving the process. Absolutely. So that is priority mind management, folks. If you run, own, or want to get us into your business, then you need to drop Cuddy or myself a line. And we will happily talk to you about the process of getting us involved. And believe me, we're cheaper than hiring somebody at 50 or 60, 40, 50, 60 grand to try and do that for you into your business. We are way, way cheaper than that. So we would love to hear from you. So we've got about 90 seconds left. Final message from you, Cuddy.
Make the mind of your teams a priority and just see the benefits. Absolutely. Every time. As always, big love from Cuddy. And I can't wait to see you around in this beautiful, blessed world that we have, Graham. Any final words from you, sir?
To echo what you said, I think making your people the priority, making your people's minds, emotional mindset the priority will show massive benefits, not just for them, but for you, for your business, and everything in between. It's just the way forward, and we really can have a major impact on the biggest pandemic in the world at the moment, which is mental health. By far is mental health. And we really can have an impact when businesses get on board and move forward with it. And so many businesses are. You could be the next. So from myself, I would like to wish you a wonderful week. Thank you very much for listening, for watching. Or if